Hi everyone, let's embrace our inner nerd and talk about reliable research. I gave you a link to EBSCOhost, but all I did was go to the Assiniboine website, click on library, and then there's a link to EBSCOhost. You might have to sign in. You should see the word Assiniboine Community College here. That means you know that you have access. Click the first link and we're in. So the first thing EBSCOhost asks you to do is to select the databases that you want. So for me, Academic Search Premier is checked off and it tells you what it's about right here. It's just all kinds of academic journals. It's a good one to check off. Masterfile is great. It's got all the magazines that you might be familiar with. National Geographic, the Sports Illustrated, newspapers. You gotta click Masterfile. This one right here, CINAHL, is all about medical stuff. Doctors and nurses and anything that has to do with the medical field. My topic is about greenhouses, so I'm not gonna check that one off. But if you're doing diseases, then check this one off. The next one is about Canadian resources, and I do want that one, so anything that has to do with Canada. And the green file I'm going to check off because this is about the environment and my topic is about the environment. And then you can just keep going and looking at the ones that you want to include. If yours has a military topic, go for it. But I'm going to stop right there and hit continue. Okay, I could just type in one word like hockey, like I would for a Google search maybe, but that's a pretty broad topic. Hopefully you have something a little more specific, and you can see some ideas right here, right? Hockey, violence, and equipment. But I also want you to think about the order that words show up in. So for example, let's say I type in Canadian Junior Hockey. If I leave my search like this, it's going to pull up articles, and it doesn't really care about the order of the words. It might pull up an article with just junior and hockey and Canadians later, but if you want a specific order of words, like I want to actually look for articles that talk about Canadian junior hockey in that order, I need to put quotation marks around it. And then I can hit search right now, but I can also search for topics on top of that. So I could go Canadian junior hockey and then go for injuries. And now injuries doesn't have to be part of this order, but it will be in those articles and journals. Now I'm going to type in what I did for my paper, passive solar. I wanted those words in that order, and now I search for that. And so it's pulling up articles that are trusted and reliable. These have gone through the reliability process. They've been checked by experts. They've been written by experts. We can trust these sources. In your essay, you have to have at least one source from EBSCOhost. Okay, now, first of all, I can quickly look and see the names of journals right here. International Journal of Sustainable Energy. That is way better than some blog on the internet that anybody could add to. I can find dates in here, 2015. I can also grab this blue square and change the date of the articles that are showing up, and it will recalculate the search for me. So I'm going to do that. I can also check off these filters here. Maybe I only want magazines or I only want news reports. But once I'm happy with what I'm looking at, I really start to read. I see this journal right here is probably pretty good, right? It's all about passive solar homes, and I just kind of scroll around looking, but I'm going to go into this one right here. Let's say I read this article, I'm learning new things about it, and I want to add some of the information from this article to my essay, and I really did. So what I would do, first of all, is I would quickly email this article to myself. I just click email. I have to type in my school email. And then in the subject line, I try and remind myself what this article is about. Maybe this one was all about Windows. Then I just hit send, and it's instantly sending that email to my inbox. Here's all the ones I see in my inbox, and in the subject line, it gives me little information about what that article was about so that I don't lose the articles that I found that were valuable. There is an add to folder here, but it doesn't save it for the long term. If I close this window down, it disappears. So emailing it is, I think, the best thing to do. Now there's two ways that I can use information from this article. I can either paraphrase what they're already saying. That means putting it in my own language, but using their ideas. Or I can directly quote them, or both. So if I'm going to use information from this article, I need to click the word cite, because I have to cite that. I scroll down, we're writing an APA paper, and so it does it for me. That's what's so nice about EBSCOhost. It does it for me. So I'm just going to copy that, Control C or Command C, copy it, and then I go back to my essay that I was working on. I scroll down to the references area, and I just paste it right there. I'm going to also give myself a little note. Maybe this one was about the windows, just for now, just so I know that where it goes up here, because I also have to do an in-text citation up here. So I'm just going to remind myself. I'm going to have to make sure this is formatted right, because that's got to be Times New Roman. So what I can do is put my cursor here in Times New Roman and then turn on the paintbrush, and then I can paint it. And now it's Times New Roman 12. Okay, if there's something I wanted to directly quote, like this part, maybe something about windows being on the south side in the northern hemisphere, I can copy this, go back to my document. I just got to put it somewhere, and I need to make sure I know which reference it's tied to. So this is going to have quotation marks around it, but I'm just trying to make sure I keep my research all together. So this quote belongs with this citation, and then I'll also add an in-text citation up above in my actual article. But I'm still doing research right now. So I'm going to go back to EBSCOhost. I'm going to continue to do that. I continue to look through these articles, finding information. If I want, I can add something else, passive solar, in that order, but maybe I also want thermal mass, and it gives me new results for that. Now, you can do a Google search. Let's do that. So it kind of works the same way. I'm also going to use quotation marks around my words if I want them together like that, passive solar. I can search for that. Now I can quickly look at some of these URLs, right? Like Wikipedia is not really reliable. Anybody can edit this, but here's a .edu, right? That's educational. That might be better. .org, it's organization. It's sort of similar to .com. It's not as reliable. So what I often do is go into settings and then go to advanced search. And my topic is still there with the exact words. That's what the quotes does, with the exact words. But down here under site or domain, I can add maybe a .edu and then search again. Now it's only giving me educational results, and you can see I've opened these and looked at them. So I can do other searches like that. I can go .mb.ca, that'll give me Manitoba government. I can go .gc.ca, that's Canadian federal government. I could go .gov, that's American government. So I can search like that and then open up some of these results. So I'm going to look at this one right here. Now here's where it gets tricky and a little harder. There is no citation button here, so I have to go find the right citation if I want to paraphrase or directly quote anything from this article. I'm also looking for an author's name. If I have an author's name, that really does help me. I don't have to have it, but it can help. Okay, I don't see an author's name here, but it is from the U.S. Department of Energy, so that helps with the reliability part of it. Now, because there's no citation button, I need to create my own citation. I need to open this APA 7th edition PDF student sample paper. This is what I used for my essay. So it's an example of a student paper, and it has all the information for in-text citation. Sometimes you have two authors, sometimes you have a group of authors, and so it's giving you everything. So your paper isn't going to look like this because it has so many examples. It teaches you how to do the pictures and everything. Your paper will look like my essay paper, but here is basically our textbook of how to cite. So I got to go all the way down to the references page right here, and I have to read these squares here, a website reference with a group or a corporate author. So we didn't really have an author, so this one might work for us. So I have to look at this citation. So here's the name of the company that runs that website. So for me, that was the U.S. Department of Energy. Here's the date. Now I got to go back to that website and see if I can find a date. If I don't see a date, here's an example down here, reference for a source with no date. I go ND, no date. So then I'd have to go into right there. I'd go N.D. Stress in America. So this is the name of the article. So now I go back. I got to find the name of the article. There it is, passive solar home design. So I'd have to add that in, and then the URL. If you do have an author's name, add it to the front, just like you see right here. So I have to build it myself, and it makes it more difficult. I do want to show you the hanging indent. I tried to add it to this template, but sometimes when you're copying and pasting things, it disappears on you. So I'm going to show you on this paragraph. So if I highlight, pretending that this is a reference, if I highlight it, I go into paragraph. Right here under special, I can go hanging indent, and it has to be 1/2 inch. That's already there. Say OK, and then it creates that hanging indent for you. Okay, let's talk about in-text citation. And I'm using that APA student example paper. So you're going to have to read these boxes and kind of see what you're citing. Do you have 2 authors or 1 author? And so here's one with 3 authors. So here's the key to in-text citation. You need to mention the author's name and date. Now, you can either mention the author's name in brackets here, which means you're not mentioning the author's name in the sentence above. If you do mention the author's name in the sentence above, then you don't need to put it in the brackets here, just the date. Now, if you're quoting like I'm doing here and I'm not mentioning the author's name here, then the author's name goes here, the date goes here, and the page number that the quote is found on. So let me give you an example where I use the author's name right here. Lindsay Schiller and Mark Plink explain in their article, Add Thermal Mass to Your Off-Grid Greenhouse, that these thermal blah 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 blah. See, there's my citation, but I only have the year because the authors are right there. But in the next sentence, I actually put their names in it and the date because this sentence is straight from their article, even though it's in my own words. I paraphrased it. So you got to go back and forth from your article back to this guide here and try and look and see how you are using in-text citation and see if you can find the example. There's all kinds of different examples. Here's that quotation one. Okay, the last thing I'll talk about is images. I'm probably going to be using a Google search. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to type in passive solar. I go to images. Here's one from an educational thing. That's a good one to use. Maybe we got one from a .com website. I would never use this URL, right? This is a Google search. This isn't the URL for this image. I need to dig deep, click the image, click it again, get right to the website where the image is on, because you're going to need this website. You're going to need this title right here. You're going to need this date. You're going to need this person's name if this person is responsible for this picture. We're trying to find the person that originally put this picture online. Then I have to right click, save this image to my computer, because I'm not copying and pasting the image. Save the image to my computer. I come back to my essay and there's some specifics around putting this picture. I had to go insert and then the picture and add it from my computer, but there's information here. It explains it on that PDF. There, you need the word figure 1, you need the title of the figure, the actual figure, you need a note explaining what the image is about, and then where you got it from. So this is the name of the website, the person that's responsible for the picture, the date, and the URL. This also has to show up down here in the references section. You'll see down here there's an image reference. There it is, reference for the image. And also in your paper, if you're using an image, you're going to see the words see figure, whatever figure you're looking for. Research and citation is a big topic. It can be difficult, take time to do it properly. If you don't cite something, you run the risk of academic penalty, so please reach out if you need help.